Hey everyone, I'm excited to share something special with you today. I had the honor of teaching a session inside my business coach's AI community, and I'm sharing it with his full permission. In this class, we explored how to build an N8n Knowledge Store Agent. And here's the twist. I had never built one before. We used a pre-built template as our starting point, and I walked the group through it while learning right alongside them. It was a fun, collaborative experience, and honestly, that's what made it so powerful. Because here's the truth, the real professionals are never done learning. I'm not here to claim expert status, I'm here to share the journey. So, whether you're brand new to N8n or just curious about how a knowledge store agent works, you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
What I really wanted to show you guys was N8n is starting to do these pre-built agents. I really like this because it's helping people to get more familiar with having AI agents in N8n, which I really appreciate. I like the joke agent down here. I don't know if you guys have tried to have like ChatGPT tell jokes or other big LL
Yeah,
humor.
I have in the past, but they weren't very good, but that was when it first came out. I don't know what it's like now.
Yeah, I was gonna say humor is a part of the human experience that AI seems to be the least understanding of right now. So I like that there's like an AI API that's specific for that. I might actually try to build a custom GPT later that actually understands humor. That'd be fun for like writing books with and stuff, maybe. For the time being, let's do a knowledge store agent, just because having a knowledge store is a pretty basic part of. Okay, now what are we looking at? I mean, it looks pretty cool. Here we go. A chat-based AI agent to retrieve, analyze, and answer questions using documents uploaded to Google Drive and stored in a vector database. Configure credentials in the Google Drive and OpenAI nodes. Okay. And then create a folder in Google Drive to store your documents. Select it, the file uploaded. Oh, so it just fires whenever you upload a file. That's interesting. Oh, and then it downloads it and adds it to the database. Is that what this does? The insert and retrieve operation use the same embedding node. Okay, that makes sense. What's this setup template button do? You need one Google Drive and one embeddings OpenAI account to set up this template. Is it the same as a regular OpenAI account? Because I have one of those, but let's see. API key, organization ID, base URL. Yeah, it sure looks like I do like this, by the way. N8n has a built-in AI assistant. I don't use it too much. I prefer ChatGPT just because it doesn't seem to know any less about N8n than this AI assistant does, and ChatGPT will let you send it screenshot. With this one, you kind of have to convert it all to text only, and that can be kind of time consuming when you're doing a lot of troubleshooting. That said, the AI assistant is pretty handy for helping you understand error messages, authenticate nodes, you know, pretty surface level stuff like that. So, set up OpenAI credentials, follow these steps. Okay, awesome. API keys page. So platform.openai.com. This is their API platform, by the way. This is handy for doing a couple of different things. You can create API keys to power AI agents in N8n. You can also create assistants. They're similar to custom GPTs, except they work entirely over API. I mean, they do have like a little window in the OpenAI platform where you can message them, but it's more intended for use via API, which makes them handy for automations in make.com and N8n and platforms like that. For now, all we want is an API key. So, new key, and we'll say knowledge store agent. And our project, oh, we've only got the one project, I guess. So, yeah. All right. Go ahead and copy the key. It is, by the way, guys, a must when you create an API key is copy it immediately when you see it on that screen and find somewhere very, very secure that you can store it, because OpenAI is never going to let me see the full text of that secret key again, which means if I need to access it again, either I need to have someplace safe that I stored it, or I have to delete it and make a new one. So very, very important. And then let's see. Yeah. Settings. There's my org ID. All right. Let's go ahead and paste that in. And base URL. I don't think that needs to change. Do I need to change the base URL to from a little quirk of this AI assistant is it can't actually see what your workflow is or how anything is set up or how data has flowed in a test execution. Hence my preference for ChatGPT. It's a lot easier to just take screenshots of those things and then it will understand it immediately. With the AI assistant, you need to take like an hour to type it all out. Let's see, do I need to change the base URL from the default of that? Yeah. Yeah, let's leave it there because it knows what I'm trying to do. I don't need to restate that my goal is to authenticate this OpenAI node. Okay. No, you don't need to. Okay. You only need to change it if you're using a custom OpenAI compatible service or Azure OpenAI. Huh. I didn't know that actually. That's one thing that the AI assistant is great for is just learning about AI, learning about N8n in general. Because the first thing it looks at is the current N8n docs and also the community, the N8n community, so it knows exactly what's going on. Credential created. I'm gonna name this one Knowledge Store Agent. Yeah, perfect. And now what's going to happen is it'll show up as Knowledge Store Agent whenever I hit a drop down list to select an existing credential, which is really, really handy when you have a lot of nodes that you want to authenticate. You can just create the credential once and then just use that same credential across all of the nodes that are relevant. You do want to be conscious of it because since they use the same API key, the usage from all those nodes will show up on the same API key. So you do want to be a little aware of that. Now, the tough one. Ooh, Google Drive, Google Cloud Console. Yeah, go to my console. Yeah, I really like 1Password. Something you guys should know about Jonathan is he never makes a recommendation for no reason. All right, now let's create, just so we're kind of starting fresh. Let's start with new project, knowledge store agent. All right, create project. This little thing up at the top tells you all the different projects that you have, and taking them will change like what permissions and APIs, etc. you're looking at. And I believe we just need the Google Drive API, don't we? Yeah, that sure sounds like the only one we need to enable. Let's hit enable. Okay, perfect. And now that that's enabled, all we need to do is do the actual authentication of this agent. So create new credential. I'm also going to call this one Knowledge Store Agent. A real handy like naming scheme for authentications is just naming them after the AI system where it's being used. Okay, so this is their, oh, it only accepts OAuth 2. That's not good because the one I usually set up is a service account. I haven't done all that much with OAuth 2 type authentications. All right. Well, what do you mean it can't make a new one? Maybe it wants us to configure the consent screen first. App information, knowledge, store, agent, hello at blackfishautomations.com, internal audience. Let's go to contact information, hello at blackfishautomations.com. Perfect, and finish. All right, there we go. Yeah, we want to create an OAuth client. Web app, Android, Chrome extension. Yeah, let's do web app. Sure, web client 1. That's fine. Authorized JavaScript origins. Redirect URLs. Yep, we got one of those. Copy that, paste it here, and all right. Okay, that makes sense. In that case, let's go ahead and copy the client secret immediately. Yeah, that's the client ID, and that is the client secret. Let's sign in with Google. I don't know if you guys actually got to see that pop out. Basically, it just asked me to sign in with Google and give the Knowledge Store Agent permission to do all the stuff it needs to do. So I think we are good. Let's go ahead. This is a nice button. It lets you see the whole workflow. Whoa, it has 2 different triggers. That's cool. Okay, so let's just say here, drive. I'm gonna have to switch my account here just a little bit, and I'm popping into my personal account for just a minute. Finding Forever Blueprint. This is a brainstorming doc I kept for a sci-fi book that I think it was in November last year. It was really fun. I tried, it was my first time writing a full, like a whole book entirely with AI. It went pretty well. I think there are definitely improvements we need to see in AI, and maybe those improvements have been made since this experiment. I don't know. I haven't tried this since then. Here we go. Download as a PDF, what was I saying? But overall, it went really well. I wrote the entire book, I think it was like 60, 70,000 words entirely in the month of November. Usually a book of that length, if I was writing on my own, that would have taken me 8 months to a year to do. So very, very cool. Now, oh yeah, I have to here execute workflow, and I thought it would just listen for a file to be uploaded, because some triggers, like the Telegram trigger, for example, will just perpetually listen for incoming messages before it executes the workflow. And yeah, let's start a new session. Let's analyze the error real quick. No data in the specified folder knowledge store since the workflow was last activated. Do I have a knowledge store folder in here? Knowledge store. All right, now here, problem activating workflow. Dude, I'm trying. What do you mean? There's no issue. It just means that there wasn't any. You know what? I'm just gonna hit refresh so the error message goes away, and then I'm gonna try activating it again, because that's what all smart people do, right? Is they refresh the window and try again. All right, perfect. We've activated the workflow. Okay, got it. I like that it has this checklist of stuff to do to get it production ready, especially like setting up error notifications. That's really important to track the error messages. Let's see, because you're still gonna get error messages when it's in production, and if you have a system for handling them, that's gonna make the difference between a quality product and one that isn't. File upload. So in theory, it's going to upload this blueprint doc to our knowledge store, and it will be added automatically to. It doesn't look like it though. Huh. Let's take a look at this then. Yeah. I wonder if. Oh, I was looking for in a different knowledge store. I see. There we go. Okay. So basically, everybody, what just happened was, let me pop open the configuration for this node again. So this is the folder it's watching, right? And you get a handy choice to, if you want to target it by list, by URL, or by ID is this little part of its URL, or I believe it is. That's how it works for Google Sheets, for example. And basically what it was looking for, one called knowledge store with a lowercase s, just because that is the default configuration that our template came with, and it wasn't actually targeting a specific folder in our Google Drive. So that's what I fixed, and that's why it suddenly worked. Now, embedding model. Okay. Oh, and then it chunked it into. That makes sense. Okay. So let me go ahead and ask it something about my main characters that it would only know if it could actually retrieve info from this doc. What is Laura Bolton's greatest fear? And let's just see what it does here. Dang, that was pretty fast. Losing control. whether it refers to her emotions, her physical state, or ability to comprehend and make sense of the world around her. It's linked deeply to her terror of spacewalking and her episodes of catatonia, where she mentally withdraws to avoid being overwhelmed. Rooted in past traumas, such as losing her parents and her battle with illness, which reinforce that the idea that vulnerability can lead to pain and loss. Her fear of losing control influences her reluctance to engage with the world fully and affects her interactions and decisions throughout her journey. That's cool. Well, I guess the first thing I want to say is thank you all so much for coming along because I had no idea how to do this before this class, but I saw a knowledge store agent on that menu and I was like, yeah, this would be a great opportunity to learn to set this up myself while teaching you guys how to do it. This is cool. I'm liking this. I think the only thing I really wish I would be able to edit the document through, like, have another AI agent that edits the document however I want it to, and then it will change those up, like it those updates will follow all the way through to the version that is in this vector store and the embedding model. So, because when you have that, you basically have a fully automated brainstorming system for your novel, and that would be really cool. That would save a lot of time.
So could you do that then, Josh? Would you be able to make that then, you reckon? Would you be able to
Sorry, say that
do
again,
something?
Mark.
Would you be able to enhance that yourself though, build something else on top to do that, or to put it through another any sort of workflow to make it so you could sort of automate changes like that or not?
I don't immediately know how, but I know that if this much is possible, then that enhancement is almost certainly possible. And I'm sure, ChatGPT or N8n's new text to workflow feature when it comes out will be able to help me figure it out. So yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that we can do it.
It's pretty good that, wasn't it? I mean, that thing just alone, and once you get past those little pitfalls, which will appear time again, you know which way to go with it next time with another one. But that was, yeah, it's pretty impressive that.
Exactly. Yeah. It'd also be really cool to have the AI agent that edits the blueprint be able to read it first. So that way the changes that it makes can be further informed by the blueprint. I watch a lot of video essays in my free time of different movies and storytelling and all kind of things. The biggest mistake that storytellers can do is do something that is misaligned with the rest of their project.
Yes, guys, so it's totally out of the sync.
Yeah, absolutely. For example, I believe Peter Pan had a live action remake where they made Captain Hook a sympathetic villain and they gave him like a tragic backstory with Peter Pan where like he and his crew was stranded or whatever. That was interesting and it was effective at making Captain Hook a sympathetic villain, but they completely forgot that what everyone loved about the original Peter Pan was, at least in part, that we had a pure evil villain who was Captain Hook. So it lost a bit of its oomph because it went out of alignment with itself.
Yes, get you. Totally agree.
So yeah, sorry, bit of a tangent from AI automation, but those are the applications that I see and that are most interesting to me. Let's see. Any questions? Anybody? Something I could have explained better or anything?
I suppose you might have said before, Josh, and excuse me, I've just been having some supper, so I'm not on camera. In terms of say the error, I think you mentioned something briefly, I missed it. Say you run it in production mode, it comes up with an error. Is the error checking that will still make it run, or will it just bug out? When it's actually running the automation, what will it do if I don't know, for example, you upload a book and it's got weird characters in terms of symbols it doesn't recognize or different scripts and it
Oh,
crashes.
gotcha. That's a great question. There's probably more that you can do, but I can show you what I know how to do, which in the settings, you can hit this retry on fail switch, and then you can decide how many retries you want it to have and how long you want it to wait between retries. That's handy for HTTP requests and the like, where sometimes one will just fail just because the server is busy and obviously you don't want it to stop the whole workflow in its tracks. But you also can make use of this, which is, what happens when you get an error. By default, it stops the workflow, which I don't really like because that's probably the least useful setting that could possibly be on. There's two different continue ones, and they'll pass the message as part of its regular output if you want to do that. There's also an extra error output. I haven't actually used this, so I don't quite know how to set it up, but it's there if you want to have some more advanced error reporting logic. Let's see what else. This is another thing I haven't really used myself, but I'd like to because it looks pretty cool. You can add trigger. Look at this error trigger. There is an entire node specifically for watching a workflow for an error message. And whenever one pops up, you can have a separate workflow that triggers by that error message and sends it to you on Telegram or on Slack or something like that. Really handy, I'm sure, but I've never had a reason to need to try it out. Does that answer your question at all, Lauren?
It does, thank you. Yeah, very handy that.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we are about coming up on time, everybody. Do we have any final question? All right. Awesome. Cool.
And that's a wrap on building an N8n Knowledge Store Agent, from learning the ropes to showing the process in real time. Whether you followed along, took notes, or just absorbed the vibes, I hope this gave you some real insight into how flexible and powerful N8n can be, even when you're figuring it out on the fly. If you're an entrepreneur looking to level up your AI game, check the link in the description for 50 free ChatGPT prompts designed specifically to spark ideas, speed up your workflow, and unlock new strategies. And with that, be sure to leave a like, share your thoughts with the class, and before you subscribe, make sure you know what you're doing, because it ain't easy being at the top. We'll see you guys next time.